Welcome to Soup Up Your Semester. If you have not played Woo Clap before, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and start that now. And so with your phone, or if you want to use your other screen for this, you can certainly do that. Please go ahead and grab this QR code or go to wooclap.com. You can also use the text number that you see there. And I'd like you to join this Woo Clap event. If you've never done a Woo Clap before, you're in for a treat. Now on the screen that I'm presenting, you can see in the bottom right corner, there's a little group of people, and we can see that folks are joining the Woo Clap as we get started here, which is really a great way to kind of track participation in an event. So if you're doing an in-class activity and you want to use a Woo Clap, or you're doing something like this, like a synchronous online activity, you can see how many people are joining. We've got about 20 folks in the Woo Clap. As we get started, you're going to continue to be invited to join. So I'm going to go ahead and advance to our first Woo Clap question, and we'll do a little roll call. See who's here. Go ahead and answer this question. It should be showing up on your device. All of you should be coming from one of these departments. So if you're not sure which department you represent, throw that in the chat and we'll see if we can help you out based on the class you teach. And we will be checking the chat and answering questions throughout. So we've got 23 folks in the Woo Clap, and so far, oh, I went too fast. I'm sorry, guys. This is who we have. So we've got some good representation from across the college. So far, Arts and Sciences is winning. Not sure it's a competition, but you know, some people make everything a competition. So there you go. I've got one more little poll question for you just to show you what Woo Clap can do. We'll go ahead and move into that one. What soup are you feeling today? You know, it is a soup kind of day. So in your Woo Clap, go ahead and put in an answer for the kind of soup you're feeling. And I'm going to make this appear as a word cloud, and you're going to see it change on the screen as we get more answers and more frequency. We've got some fun ones here. Chicken tortilla, French onion. For the person who doesn't like soup, that's why I didn't make you any today. So again, this is just one of the features of a Woo Clap. You can use it to have students answer questions anonymously or to brainstorm, and you can show your results a lot of different ways. So you can get it like this as a list or as a grid. I like the word cloud for something like this. It's kind of fun. All right, so we're going to get back to the Woo Clap in a little bit, but for now, here is our schedule. We're going to have our opening session until 5 o'clock, and you'll hear from lots of different college leaders. And then around 5:10, we're going to move into some breakouts. I've got a little bit of instruction time between there. We'll do 2 different breakout sessions with 3 different folks. We've got somebody's doing double duty. Jamie's going to be doing a lot for us tonight, talking about the LMS. And then close to 6, we'll do a wrap up and make sure we answer any questions that you have. So we'll go ahead and get started with our first session, which is our opening session. And I'm going to ask that Kathy Allen, our Vice President for Instruction, welcome all of you. So Kathy, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you, Sarah. Hi, everybody, and welcome to fall semester. I can't believe it's already here. The summer's gone really fast. So I just wanted to thank everybody for your commitment to Blue Ridge and for teaching for us. And it's my goal for each of you to have the support and the resources that you need to succeed in the classroom. So I've got a background in education and teaching. I've taught as an adjunct before for other community colleges in the North Carolina system and loved it, loved teaching, and I hope you do too here at Blue Ridge. But even though I loved it, sometimes as an adjunct, I felt left out, didn't know where to turn. When I had a question, had to figure it out by myself. And my goal is for you all to never feel that way, to always have a go-to person and always have a way to get the help that you need to succeed in all of your courses that you teach. So by now, hopefully you've met your chair or your dean in your department. Those are your go-to people here. Some of them are here on this call today. And you also have some terrific resources in the teaching and learning department. Sarah and Jamie and Wes are all here, and you're going to meet them this afternoon. And I encourage you to take advantage of your resources and all the professional development that the Teaching and Learning Center offers. So I really appreciate you teaching for us. We're thrilled to have you here as faculty members. And I just wanted to welcome you, and I hope you have a wonderful fall semester.
Thanks so much, Kathy. Really appreciate you being here with us. And as Kathy said, we aim to be there when you need us. We don't know you need us till you let us know. So we can front load a little bit of assistance and provide some resources. And then we do hope that you'll reach out whenever you have a question to your direct supervisor and to teaching and learning so that we can get you what other resources you might need. We're going to go ahead and move forward now with the rest of our opening session, and I'm going to turn it over to Kirsten Bunch. I want to make a quick announcement to all of our speakers who are listed on this slide. Y'all are welcome to take over the screen if you want to share from your own screen. And if you want me to do the driving, just let me know that and I will advance slides as you request that. So I'm good either way. We'll go ahead and let Vice President Bunch get started, and then she'll introduce our next speaker.
Thank you, Sarah. And if you don't mind, I think I will let you drive as I chat, if that's okay. So welcome, everybody. As Sarah said, my name is Kirsten Bunch. I'm the Vice President for Student Services. So my team does exactly kind of what my title says, right? Student Services. So our group has services for admissions, registrar's office, financial support, veteran support, counseling support, disability services, enrollment pieces with success coaches, career coaches. So any kind of student support and anything student related, you can kind of think of my team. A couple of them are actually on the screen and going to be on the agenda in a few minutes to share with you guys a couple of resources. But I just wanted to highlight a couple of things while we had time together today. One, I will mention Title IX. So if you've turned on your television in the last month or so, you've probably heard lots of excitement and changes around Title IX. And so while we don't expect you guys to absorb all of those changes and how that affects students and what that might look like on the student piece, what I do want you to know is here at our campus, I am the Title IX coordinator for students. So if you have a student that comes to you with a concern, or if they share something with you that falls in that Title IX purview, which would be the harassment and discrimination, then you would just let the student know to file a report with me to let me know. You guys are what they call mandatory reporters. And so if a student were to disclose something to you, sometimes I use the example of maybe in English classes when students are writing papers, sometimes as they're dealing with something, they'll kind of write about that experience in a paper. So you can share that with me and I'll reach out to the student. Sometimes it might be an instance that happened 10 years ago and they're just working through that and kind of writing about that experience, or it might be something that happened last week. If it was last week, if it was something on campus, then it does become a Title IX issue for the college. And so I'll support the student through that process. So if you ever have anything that you've got a question about that you're not sure if it's Title IX or not, please feel free to always reach out and I'm happy to talk through whatever situations you guys might have. Wanted to share this next little link, the reporting options for faculty. It's a little cheat sheet, if you will. So it's a live link here in the presentation that you all have, but then I'll also send this out at the beginning of each semester just to have that handy at your fingertips in your inbox. So a couple of things that this highlights. The first one, the behavioral assessment report. So we have a behavioral assessment team here on campus that I chair, and it's comprised of folks from all over campus. And so what we do is receive these reports. It comes to me immediately in an email as soon as you submit it. And I do monitor my email until I go to bed at night, about 11 o'clock. First thing in the morning when I wake up at 5:30, first thing I do is let the dog out. Second thing I do is check my email. And so those are pretty timely that I'm going to get those and then hear whatever the concern is. So different ways that you can use this. If you're aware of a student who needs some support, so you need somebody from my team to reach out for counseling supports or community resources, whatever that might be, you can fill out the behavioral assessment report. If there's odd or unusual behavior or kind of suspicious behavior or something that just kind of makes your spidey senses go off and you're thinking, I feel like I might need to tell somebody about this, then I would always say, report it and let us act accordingly. There are a couple of ways that you can submit a report. One can be, you can select, please let the student know I submitted this. So if a student has a conversation with you after class one day and they share with you that they're going through a lot, maybe custody battle with children and they don't have legal resources, they're not sure what to do, please fill out this report. My team can connect them with some nonprofits in the community that can help that student. So it doesn't have to just be a campus resource that we're looking for. Other ways that this can be reported is anonymously. And so if a student is acting kind of strange in class and you want to let us know about that, but you don't want to be associated with that or any kind of an outreach, you can do an anonymous report. And so then we're going to respect that anonymity of whoever the reporter is, but still figure out a way to either A, reach out to the student, or B, address the behavior, whichever needs to happen. So wanted to share that as a resource. Next item that we have is the incident reporting form. So that with the incident reporting form, I kind of think about like, ouch, I hurt my knee, right? So especially this would be applicable if you're in any kind of a clinical setting or where students are doing any kind of hands-on activities. We might have a student that gets injured in class. So it doesn't necessarily have to be on campus. If it's in a clinical setting, if it's at a hospital or nursing home or something like that where the student is and they're still under the purview of the college and they are injured or get a needle stick or they faint and fall to the ground and hit their head, anything like that, you could use the incident report to complete that. So in this report, we do ask that folks report that injury, whatever it might be, within 24 hours of it occurring. And so students do have an accident insurance policy when they're on campus. So that would be secondary to whatever insurance they have. But what we'll do in student services is reach out to those students when these reports are filed to help them with any support that they might need walking through that process of the reporting. Also, it can bring attention to us if there's anything with the facilities that might need to be addressed. So if the injury was because the sidewalk was broken or something like that, then that is also in this report. And then our facilities team will know to give that quick attention to make sure everybody's safe when they're here on campus. So just wanted to put those resources in front of you all. On that cheat sheet, there is a third option about a note repository, and our Director of Enrollment Management, Laura Simmons, will be addressing that later. But just know that the little quick and dirty version of the notes of how to get to that and utilize that is also on that little cheat sheet there. So Sarah, thank you for driving through that. I think next up, you guys are going to have our Lieutenant Pam Cannon speak to you guys about campus safety.
Thanks, Kirsten. Lieutenant Cannon, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. I appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate all of the instructors. As a recent graduate of Blue Ridge, I have a couple of my instructors actually online right now. And I'm going to tell you, y'all play such an important part for all of us in the community. So welcome. I encourage y'all to watch the Run, Hide, Fight, whether you're online, whether you do occasional classes, whether you're on the campus occasionally. If you haven't seen the video, it's not gory. It's not, you know, you'd see worse at the 6 p.m. news, trust me, than what you see on this video. But it does bring into focus how to react to emergencies. The only other thing that I really want to talk to y'all about is please sign up for Blue Ridge Alert, even if you're an online instructor for a majority of your classes, because if the campus is closed, that still can affect things, especially if it's due to bad weather, inclement weather, power outages. Sign up for alert for those who are not technology advanced. I don't claim to be, but you would open up your messenger and type in 67283 that you see on the screen. And in that, it'll have a little text message box, and you type in the word alert me, and that go ahead and connects you with the college. There's several people that are on the alert tree automatically if there is something that happens. Worst case scenario, which we won't even call it. But if that should happen on the campus, you'll get an alert, and that would also tell you not to come on the campus. I just did the CCP boot camp over at Bo Thomas, and I encourage the parents that were in the audience to also sign up for the alert so that they know if something is happening on the campus. Other than that, if you see something suspicious, please don't hesitate to call us. We're here for everyone. We're here for everyone to have a safe and great fall. And thank you very much. We appreciate your support.
Thank you, Lieutenant Cannon. Next, we're going to hear from Student Accessibility Services Coordinator Carolyn Levine. Carolyn?
Hey, how's everybody doing? I appreciate y'all jumping on. I'm going to try and be quick, but Sarah, if it's okay with you, I will probably navigate and just share my screen. So, just a second. Right. Can everybody see my screen okay? Good. All right. So I am on my Insider page, Student Accessibility Services page on the Insider. My job is to set up accommodations for students with disabilities at the college. If you've been with us for a while, you've probably gotten one of my accommodation letters before, but if you haven't, I just wanted to show y'all what those look like. This is an example letter that I have. Let's see. Is that showing up?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Great. So this is the general format of those accommodation letters. Again, it's just going to have the student's name, ID number, and then it's going to list their accommodations. I don't share any information about the student's diagnosis or what their disability is or why they have accommodations. And no one needs to know that except me. So again, this is just a general example of what the accommodation letter looks like. If you have any questions, please let me know. Students do sign an accommodation agreement that says that they are going to make sure that every instructor gets a copy of their letter. So even though I email them out, they still need to let me know if their schedule changes or if instructors change. Again, they're supposed to let me know, but they don't always let me know. So if you have a student in one of your classes that says, hey, I should be getting accommodations, but you didn't get a letter from me, please let me know. Sometimes students think that their IEPs and 504s from high school will automatically transfer, and they do not. They still need to register with my office. That includes dual enrollment CCP students. They should be asking you to use their accommodations every time they need them. So especially like testing accommodations, they need to be letting you know in advance that they want to use them. You know, they can't just wait until the day of, 5 minutes before a test and say, oh yeah, I want to use my separate setting an extra time. We don't expect you to, move heaven and earth to make that happen because they didn't tell you in advance. Let's see. So if you go back to my site here, I have a new form. So if you've been with us a while, you probably know that we don't have a proctored or a staffed testing center, but we do have a testing center. And I'm hoping to help a little bit more with proctoring in-person tests because I know that can be really hard for folks. You can't be in 2 places at once, obviously. And if you have more than 1 student in your class with accommodations, that can be especially difficult. So I am a one-woman circus, so I will do my best to cover as many tests as I can, which is why I have this form. So I would ask that if you do have a student that you would like for me to proctor an exam for, that you fill this out. Please fill it out for each student for each test date. If you know your test dates in advance and you want to fill out several at once, great. But you don't have to. Right now, this is only on the Hendersonville campus. Again, one-woman circus, I'm working on it, but you will get an automated email from me if I can cover it or not. So please plan on making your own arrangements until you get that confirmation from me. But it will be in the testing center in the sync building. And this form just asks some details about the exam, if it's paper, pencil, computer, what the student is allowed to use as far as materials, stuff like that. All right. Any questions about the testing forms or accommodation letters? Oh, and I do send out accommodation letters on the first day of the semester. So that is for full session, mini sessions, and late start classes. So you may get some a little earlier if you're teaching a second mini session. You'll still get those accommodation letters on the first day of the full session. So just a heads up on that. Right. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was, Kirsten mentioned there have been a lot of federal regulation changes, and there have been some in my area as well. Yay! Most of them that will affect us at the community college level are related to digital accessibility. So real quick, I'm going to go to the accessibility committee page where we have some more information about Title II, Section 504, and digital accessibility updates. I just wanted to make you guys aware that this is happening. Blue Ridge has done a great job of, trying to be ahead of this and putting or implementing best practices as far as digital accessibility and trying to make our content as accessible as possible. So a lot of this is just going to be, going through the systems that we're using, going through our materials and making sure that everything is up to snuff, so to speak. So you'll be hearing from someone in the accessibility committee at some point over the year, just to go over what you're using, if you need any help making things accessible. But again, it's nothing you haven't already been doing. It's just official now. So there was no legal requirement for community colleges to make all of their web content accessible, but now there is. And like I said, Blue Ridge has done a really good job of trying to go ahead and implement those best practices. So it's just more of a formality for us at this point. Let's see. Anybody can refer a student to my office. You can refer them through Watermark. You can call me. You can email me. You can give the student my contact information. It really doesn't matter. You don't have to provide accommodations unless they are registered with my office and I send you an accommodation letter. If you have any questions about any accommodations, please let me know. Sometimes accommodations are provided differently depending on how the class is set up and the formatting. And sometimes it can be confusing for students. They'll say, oh, well, my last instructor did this or did that. But that doesn't mean you have to do it the same way if your class is set up differently. So if you suddenly get an email from me asking all kind of nosy questions about your class, that's why. That's the only reason why, because I'm not an expert on your class. I don't know how it's set up. And I just want to know so that I can tell you and the student the correct information. But I'm not going to tell you how to run your class. I'm just going to tell you how that accommodation will fit into your class. So I think that was everything I have. Did I miss anything?
I think you got it all, Carolyn.
Right. Any questions for me?
Okay, I'm not seeing anything coming up in the chat yet.
All right. I will turn it over then to Laura Simmons.
Hey, everybody. I will also try to be mindful of our time with Sarah's schedule. I have two things that I'm going to cover. So as Carolyn just said, I'm Laura Simmons. I'm the Director of Enrollment Management. I am your primary contact for things with Watermark, SS&E, which also is probably known to you as Aviso. We have two things that we're going to cover that y'all are going to be potentially using this semester. One thing is something that if you've taught before, you've used. One thing that it will be new to you, even if you are a previous instructor. So we'll start with the old thing, or maybe fresh thing if you're a new instructor, but the alerting process. So we can actually utilize Watermark, SS&E as a tool for retention purposes. So the system is built around the information that we put into it. The more information instructors put in, the better the predictive analytics work. So if you have a student who is having difficulty in a course, maybe it's multiple students in the same class and you feel like you need to alert student services. And this isn't necessarily a circumstance of they're just not, somebody didn't turn in one assignment. but maybe you've seen a significant change in grade performance, or maybe they didn't turn in a lab or something that's a pretty critical part of the course. And you're like, I need to let somebody know something's going on. We need an outreach. We need to start that process with student services, sort of tag teaming and sort of providing those supports on the back end to the student. You can sort of get to your class and the students in there a couple of different ways, but the easiest way, if you know who you want to learn on first thing, is listed here on this first slide. Obviously, you're going to log into Watermark, which is included on the slideshow here, but you're going to do the dynamic search box, type in the student's name. It will start populating a list. You can click on the student. It will then immediately take you to their record. The other alternative is if you are teaching multiple courses and you want to go directly to the course and look it up, use that course tab, click on that. It will show you the list of students. You will click on the student or multiple students. So if you have more than one student with the same issue, you can use the tick box at the end, click as many students as you want to alert on, and then that'll push it through. And then we'll go back. The next slide is going to show us the individual student record. So if you just search for the one student, you're going to hit alert up there, and it looks like a little bell. You'll click that, and if you hover, it'll tell you like, create an alert for this student. So you'll click alert, a pop-up's going to load. You're going to see here you have several choices. The drop-down menu is going to give you all of your your alert types, and then there's that yellow box that says Sally's student will be notified of this alert. That will change based upon the type of alert you're submitting. So if you're submitting an academic early alert, obviously you're the instructor. You know what's going on with their grade. You want to make sure the student is actively aware of the situation they're in with their grade or the issue that they're having. And also this alerts their success team. Some of the alerts are not going to alert the student, but they will alert the success team nonetheless. I'll show you another example of that in just a second. So you'll click the drop down. Here's another example where the drop down's been clicked. That's the kudos. So if you have something really affirmative you want to share, we've been trying to push people to utilize some of this positive note options so that you're not putting consistently negative information in, some positive affirmation. So if a student maybe has not done super well and then all of a sudden they really do a great job on a particular assignment, use that kudos thing. They're going to see it, and their success team will also see it, which can sort of solidify that positive interaction. So the next slide, I think, will show you the list. So you've got the kudos, academic early alert, referral to financial aid, referral to student accessibility services, referral to student services counselor. There's a whole list there. Depending on which one you click on, you're going to see this one has kudos listed, so she's going to be notified. And then the next slide is going to show what it looks like if you're on another one. So changing that to the referral to student accessibility services or mental health concerns, it changes that line of teal color, and the little bar is now through the bell, meaning you're not going to get the notification to the student. The success team is the only group that's notified. And it'll tell you that recipients list. So the people who will be notified is Julie Brackett, Carolyn Levine. Alexander Leader's not a real person. That's a dummy thing that's in there for us for training purposes. So that tells you who the recipients of that alert is. So that's essentially the bulk of sort of the constraints of that. Once you click on certain types of alerts, academic early alert is the primary one you'll be using. You're going to see where it shows you a comment box and then an internal comment box. You can see some content in here about what's the best kind of practice of what information to put in there, and then some internal comment box text. The internal comment box would be really beneficial for you to use if you wanted to share some additional information with the success team and student services that isn't necessarily what you want the student to see. So letting the student know that they're missing an assignment or they have significant absences that are impacting their grade, but then maybe your reasoning behind what's going on, you've determined something, you can put that in that internal comment box, but of course use as much compassion and try to retain as much dignity and pride for the student as you can. So be mindful of what you're putting in there. So that's the the alerts piece, sorry. This next part is our notes repository. This is your new part. Operates very similarly, but this is going to be utilized as a notes repository for each of your program areas. So you will have the ability to create a note on a student, very similar, same way. You're going to type student's name in, same thing it's going to search. You get to the student's profile, like where you clicked alert before, you'll click the note option. So it'll say create a note, pop-up pops up. You're going to see this list. This particular instructor that we're impersonating for the demo was from the Math and Sciences side of college transfer. The only notes repository they have access to is the one tied to their program area. You click that, it's going to give you a box. You type your note in the box and it's going to, lead all that content. This is not the place where you would want to put anything directly saying that a student has plagiarized or anything like that. This would be a good place for you to put information to document things. If a student has an issue with a grade and you meet with them, potentially could lead to a grievance. So these are the things that are not going to rise to the occasion of a Maxient form or something like that, but you're wanting to document it. So like I did one of like disruptive and disrespectful behavior. They didn't do anything that made me think I need to do a behavioral assessment form, but it was something that was alarming that might be beneficial for my dean and my chair to know. So your direct supervisor link will be able to see this. So as adjuncts, whoever your chair is or your dean that's in your department, they will be able to see this, and then the VPs will be able to see this. So it's not available. So like if, for example, Misty House, if Misty does a note for a psychology class, sorry, I'm picking on you, Misty. If she does a note on a psychology class, she can enter that, and the only person that will be able to see that is her dean and her chair. Nobody else will be able to see that. No other faculty will be able to see it. So it is a confidential and trackable way for us to utilize this noting process. So questions about that, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm available in student services. So happy to go through this with anybody individually if they need it. That gives you an example of what it looks like in the student record if you wanted to see it, but that's all I have. Next up, I think, is it Anthony again?
Thanks, Laura. Actually, Michelle Handy is going to be with us tonight from
Well, take it
Transylvania
away,
County.
Michelle.
Yeah.
Thanks, Laura. Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Handy from the library, and my team and I are excited to partner with you guys to get students using the library resources. At main campus, we've got Julia Haverstock, Rachel Quinn, and Anthony Baltiero. Happy to work with y'all, and I'm on the Transylvania County campus, and then we've got some books at the Health Science Center, so we're growing into the Health Science Center. We have library spaces that you and your students are welcome to use. So we've got a computer lab. All our computers have the lockdown browser, Respond Us on it. We have study rooms. We have a common areas and computer labs for students to use. So I'd like to invite you to schedule a library visit or a tour, or send your students to the library for work. And then as you see under library instruction, we also hope that you invite us to partner with you for a little bit of information literacy instruction or targeted lesson that we can work with you on for your students to help them gather resources and do research for a specific project. So if you've got assigning a research in your class, please reach out to the library. We'd love to partner with you by having a day on your syllabus where we can do a little instruction. If you're teaching totally online, that might look like a video tutorial that you could embed in your class. We also have Research Pathfinder web pages that we create just for y'all to help your students access specific databases. So the library has 100 different databases, and Misty, if your psychology students were doing research, the Psychology LibGuide will point them to some specific databases useful for that scholarly discipline. So come see us on the library website or just walk into the library. We'd love to meet you, and I hope I see you around soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. We're going to go ahead and wrap up our opening session with a little quiz. So your WooClap should be reactivated. If it's not, I've got a couple options for you. You can use the QR code that I just threw back into the chat to rejoin. And using the code at the top of the page, hopefully you're able to answer this first question. What form should you complete if you have concerns about a student's behavior? We've got 4 choices here. And based on how many folks I've got in the WooClap, I'm going to show our results here when we get about halfway. Oh, look at that. We're close. So it looks like everybody knows that we want to be showing, or we want to be utilizing that behavior assessment form that Vice President Bunch talked about at the beginning of the session. Great job. Okay, again, that form you can access through her quick guide, and we'll be making that available to you at the end of this presentation. It's also available through SharePoint or the Insider. Let's move to our next question. True or false? All courses are required to include the run, hide, fight information and quiz in their My Courses shell. What do you think? What do you remember Lieutenant Cannon saying? Okay. So we've got a couple of folks who are thinking maybe it's a choice. The correct answer here is true. It's actually already built into the course shells that you're given at the beginning of the semester. And we ask that you keep it in that Getting Started module and that you ask your students to complete that. Students are not required to watch the video 6 times necessarily, but they do need to acknowledge for every class that they take that they are aware of the Run, Hide, Fight policy and protocols that we support at the college. So that little quiz is just like an I acknowledge, it's an attestation quiz. Okay. Let's move on. Our next question. This one is from Carolyn in Student Accessibility Services. True or false? Students who have accommodations for tests automatically get those accommodations. Okay, this one is a little trickier. And it looks like Carolyn's still on the call. Carolyn, if you want to unmute yourself and answer this one before I show the real answer, you're welcome to.
Thank you. So yeah, this is one, this is something that students would need to let you know in advance that they want to use their accommodations. Accommodations are not optional when the student asks to use them, but it's optional for the students if they want to use them. So if they want to use them for some tests and not others, that's totally fine. You are not a mind reader. You're not expected to be a mind reader. They do need to let you know in advance that they want to be using those testing accommodations.
Does that make sense? Is there any confusion on that? Okay. I do see that somebody did mark that they were confused. That might have been on the previous question. So if there's a question about any of the questions we've gone over so far, feel free to take yourself off mute or put it in the chat. All right, we'll move on. Next question's about Watermark. How can instructors use Watermark to support student success? Mark all that apply. So read all your choices here. Look at that. Most of you got this one right, it looks like, because yes, all 4 of these are ways that instructors can use Watermark student success and engagement. So I encourage you, as Laura did, to get more involved with Watermark. If you haven't used it before and you want a refresher or you want a little bit more support with that, Laura is very happy to go over that information again. Again, this recording will be available, and Teaching and Learning can also support you. So let us know if you have questions about Watermark. All right, last quiz question before we go into our breakout rooms. The Blue Ridge Libraries and their staff are available to, again, this is a mark all that apply. And again, it looks like most of you are catching on that there's a lot that the library can do for us. So all 4 of these are correct. The library can identify supplemental resources, support students with research, provide space for monitored proctored exams, and host and facilitate instructional sessions on information literacy. So please reach out to our librarians. They are sometimes an untapped resource in higher education, and they're very, very critical to student success. So please use them. And instructor success, I should say. I use our librarians a lot when I was an instructor. I hope you've seen the potential for WooClap, especially if you're working with students synchronously. If you are teaching asynchronously, but still like the technology, reach out to me directly. There is a way to use WooClap async. Minutes left, and I do have a resource I want to share with you. I'm going to put it here in the chat. And this is our updated Adjunct Infofest resource guide. I'm going to encourage that you take a look at this and use this as a reference throughout the year. There are a few different pieces in it. The first thing that you're going to see is a table of contents with links, so it can kind of pop you through the whole thing because it's kind of long, 17 pages, so you may not want to read it from cover to cover. But what you should notice at the beginning here are the main like contacts and checklists, and then we have some different pieces around course expectations. So if you look at this document, and I'm happy to share it with you on the screen as well for just a moment. When we go to that first page, this is a really nice collection of all the folks who you can get in touch with for help. I know a lot of you already know and love Jane Ellis. Jane's my neighbor across the hall, so I'm really lucky. Jane is one of our key supports for our adjunct instructors, and she does a great job walking y'all through some of those key pieces you have to do throughout the semester, like your census report, your attendance reporting, your grade reporting, all that stuff that has to get done. She also is the person that you turned your I-9s into and all that good stuff. We've got lots of other areas. The only other one I want to shout out is our area, because y'all know me, you know Jamie, you probably know of Leah because she sends you emails about the LMS, but you haven't met Wes yet. Wes just joined the college on Monday. He's brand new. And if you take a look in the gallery right now, he might be waving at you. Let's see if we can see him. There he is. So Wes is a new part-time instructional designer, so new that I didn't even have his email at the time of this document when I was putting it together, so I'll have to update that. But Wes is going to be a great resource for all of us at Blue Ridge. Feel free to, again, to use this document to make sure you're reaching out to the right people. Underneath that, you see the different curriculum instructional contacts. So if you're not sure who your boss's boss is, they're probably on this list. Okay, so you can see this is broken down by department. And we've got emails, phone numbers, and office locations for all of our deans, chairs, coordinators, okay? And then underneath that, the last one that I wanted to point out is the semester checklist. This is just a really nice tool that you can be using starting right now to make sure that things are going well for you as you get started with your semester. So you've got this, short bulleted list of only 20 or so items. Things that you need to be doing before the semester starts. And then you can see on the first day, near the 10% census period, and then moving through the semester. You'll see that these are all linked, so you can actually go directly to those documents that are linked. And I think that's a really nice way to make sure that you're handling everything that has to get done. It's not just the teaching, right? It's the paperwork. So this is the paperwork page, okay? And then I do have a list here of other important links, including, I wanted to point out the fall 24 syllabus template. You can get to this in a few different ways, but this link should get you right to the Google version, and then you can make a copy and use that. There are a couple of updates in there around, again, the AI policy and our accessibility services office. So take a look for those updates. And then I'm not going to go through the rest of the document, but you can see here we do have the different checklists for the different courses. I want to point out this document here called the time on task document. This guideline, if you are teaching like a fully asynchronous course and it's supposed to meet 3 hours a week, like 3 contact hours a week, and it's an 8-week course, that means that your asynchronous course needs to have 6 hours of engagement for your students every week. Okay. So that's something that we're going to be paying closer and closer attention to. I think as COVID occurred and we were all moving quickly to a lot of online learning, maybe we weren't so strict on some of this, but one of the things that teaching and learning does is we want to ensure that every student is getting the amount of learning that the commitment that college has made the commitment for. So take a look at that time on task guideline sheet. And if you have questions or want our support, we're here to help you with that. I'm going to stop sharing. And let you know that I'm terrible at time management, so it's already 5:59. But I'm going to stay on the call, and I'm going to ask that Jamie also stay on the call if he can to answer any questions. And if you're feeling good and you feel like you need what you need to know or know what you need to know, you're welcome to take the rest of the evening to yourself. But make sure that you reach back out to us and let us know if you have questions or as things come up, okay? Be in touch with your department supervisor, your lead instructor, to follow up with them after this meeting as well. Thank you all so much. And again, Jamie and I will stay on the call to answer any questions.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Jamie, feel free to stop recording if you want.